Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the survival thriller films from 2025, titled The Long Walk. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens with a message received by a man named Raymond, congratulating him on being selected to participate in a competition called The Long Walk. It is revealed that the entire nation will be watching the live broadcast, and if he wins, he will be granted unimaginable riches, and a single wish. Later, Raymond, who is also known as Ray, and his mother are seen heading toward the competition. We then learn that many years ago, a great war devastated the country, leaving behind ruin and economic collapse. Desperation has consumed the people, and so, 50 young men from across the nation are chosen for the Long Walk, a walking competition that offers them one chance to transform their lives. However, Ray's mother is deeply distressed and pleads with him not to go through with this, but he refuses and firmly declares that he won't change his decision at any cost. When they arrive at the destination, Ray's mother clings to him in a desperate hug for some reason, as this could be the last time she will ever see him. Ray, however, reassures her that he will return safely, and it's only a matter of a few days. After parting from his mother, Ray encounters another competitor, Peter, and the two quickly befriend each other. The duo joins the group of 50 young men, and meets several other players, including Hank, Baker, Stebbins, and the youngest one, Curly. Here the men begin exchanging ideas and strategies about the brutal road ahead. Not long after, the creator of the game, known only as the Major, arrives and greets the young men. He calls out each contestant's name one by one, and they step forward to collect their tags. The Major then delivers a speech, reminding them that ever since the war, the country has been crippled by financial ruin. However, every year after the Long Walk, there is an increase in productivity since the event revitalizes the nation's spirit. He declares that their real problem is an epidemic of laziness, so this walk will serve as motivation to citizens to practice discipline and hard work. Up next, the Major explains the rules, revealing that the boys must maintain a speed of 3 miles per hour, and will receive a warning if they fall below it. If they fail to pick up the pace within 10 seconds, they will be warned again. And if they don't walk after 3 strikes, they will be eliminated. The goal is to last the longest, and there will be only one winner, with no finish line. Soon, the Major commences the contest by shooting his gun into the air, after which the contestants begin to walk, followed by several trucks of soldiers.
Luck to all, and remember, anyone can win.
Ray comments that everything around them looks so desolate, so a guy named Barkovich says that the Major doesn't allow spectators, except locals, until the final stage. There are also several cameras around them, broadcasting their every move to the nation. Upon reaching 7 miles, the boys start discussing the wish and the grand prize. Baker admits his reason for walking is just money, but Ray says he doesn't care much about money, and there are more important things than that. Shortly after, a guy named Harkness approaches them with a notebook, and writes down each of their names and numbers. He reveals that he's documenting everything to write a book about the experience of the Long Walk, which will make him rich. Peter responds that if he actually wins the walk, he won't need a book to gain fortune. Not long after, Curly suddenly begins to feel excruciating cramps and struggles to keep moving. Ray grabs his arm to steady him, and Peter also motivates him to move forward. But despite this, he can no longer continue. And after 3 warnings,
it ain't fucking fair!
The horrifying scene causes Ray to walk slowly in terror, and he also receives a warning, so Peter quickly drags him forward. The Major then announces the fallen comrade, and orders the others to proceed, as there will be many more casualties along the way. Soon, they reach 17 miles, where Ray admits he's been exhausted for a while, and isn't sure how much longer he can hold on. But Peter tells him not to worry about making it to the end, and just focus on surviving the next moment. Just then, Another contestant tells Ray that Ray has a secret admirer, and Ray sees a 14-year-old girl holding a sign and shouting that she loves him. Meanwhile, Ray, Peter, Hank, and Baker begin to bond, and get very close with each other. They call themselves the Three Musketeers, despite being 4 people, which Barkovich calls idiotic. Soon, exhaustion and the scorching heat overwhelm contestant number 1, who suddenly has a seizure. The others worry for him, while Barkovich cruelly mocks the boy. Before long, all 3 warnings are gone, and the poor boy still doesn't move, prompting a soldier to shoot him dead. Barkovich excitedly tells others to be happy because their chances of winning just went up, but Peter and Ray remain disappointed. Upon reaching 25 miles, Barkovich approaches a boy named Rank, and starts mocking his name. When that isn't enough, he pushes further and makes inappropriate remarks about Rank's mother. The enraged boy immediately tries to strike Barkovich, but the latter dodges, causing Rank to fall hard to the ground, so the other urges him to get up, but the poor boy's 3 warnings are all gone, and he gets shot by the soldiers. Enraged, Ray and Peter call Barkovich a murderer. But the latter tries to defend himself, saying it wasn't his fault, and he didn't even touch the boy. Not long after, one of the contestants needs to poop so badly that he can't walk anymore. The soldiers give him warnings, and eventually shoot him as the poor guy soils himself. As the night falls, the walkers are visibly exhausted, and Ray even dreams of his mom while dozing off, but Peter quickly asks him to focus on the walk. Ray then begins expressing how much he misses his mom, and Peter reassures him that he'll see her again soon. Afterward, Ray unintentionally slows down, earning his 2nd warning, and soon he stumbles as well, receiving his 3rd. It turns out that when someone gets 3 warnings, they need to walk for 3 more hours to have their slate wiped clean. A worried Peter tries to help him, but Ray suddenly lashes out and says he's just pretending to care, while deep down Peter wants him to die so he can win. Moments later, the walkers are forced to go up a hill, and during this, many of them start to slow down, and are executed. Ray walks ahead with determination, and just when he's about to give in, Peter grabs him and offers his help. This really touches Ray, and he apologizes for what he said earlier, saying he didn't mean it. However, Peter assures him that everything is fine, and guides him to catch his breath. Ray then asks about the other musketeers, to which Peter assures him that they have survived and are fine. The scene then cuts to day 2, with 59 miles covered. At this point, Ray asks Peter to keep talking because he is starting to fade. Ray then declares that he needs to win, not just for survival, but for a deeper reason. Both men realize that their chances of winning are slim, yet they are determined to keep walking until their bodies can no longer go on. They also realize that there are only 18 survivors, because many boys died last night while going uphill. Around 67 miles in, the group notices Hank has become extremely weak. Peter tries to talk to him, but Hank just insults him and continues to move forward weakly. Harkness' situation is even worse, as his ankle has been twisted, and he receives a warning for moving too slowly, while Ray tries to encourage him to keep moving. But the poor boy can't continue further, and with all his warnings gone, he is brutally shot to death. Peter and Ray are devastated by his death, but Barkovich mocks them and asks them to write a poem or song for the dead boy. A furious Peter calls him a murderer once again, which leads to a heated argument between the two. Upon reaching 100 miles, the major congratulates them, saying it's impressive that they made it so far. And then all of a sudden, one of the exhausted boys tries to flee.
He's running for it!
Warning.
Oh, boy!
31.
Come on now! Woo!
Upon reaching 103 miles, the group discusses what they would order if they win the race, and Baker dreams of a space rocket to fly to the moon. Hank says he would ask for 10 naked women, while Peter says his wish would be for there to be 2 winners of the long walk. When it comes to Ray, he reveals that he'd wish to change the system. But the guys say it wouldn't be possible, because they can't make wishes that directly affect the state. The group then begins screaming and insulting the major, and the stupid long walk. That night, it rains heavily, and Ray appears very weak, so Peter lets him rest on his shoulder for a few moments of sleep. The scene then cuts to day 3, where the guys have already reached 144 miles, and their condition is getting worse. At one point, Ray reveals to Peter that his dad used to teach him about philosophy, music, and other subjects to expand his knowledge. However, the government considered this illegal, which is why he was charged with treason. One day, he was arrested by the major, who asked him to swear loyalty to the country, and stop possessing and teaching banned ideas. But Ray's father refused, leading to his brutal execution. Finally, Ray reveals that the reason he joined the contest is to kill the major, and avenge his father. He says that if he wins, he will ask for a carbine gun, and with it, he plans to end the major's life. Shocked, Peter explains that it's not so simple to kill a man, and urges Ray to think about his mom, and reminds him that vengeance is not enough to heal his pain. Upon reaching 170 miles, an exhausted Walker begs for help from the soldier, but they strike him and then run him over with a tank without hesitation. Just then, another delirious man strips naked and starts walking the wrong way, causing him to get shot. At night, they reach 201 miles, and Stebbins approaches Ray to inform him that Hank has become extremely weak. A worried Ray tries to encourage Hank, but instead, he turns and walks straight toward the soldiers, and he is brutally shot, prompting a distraught Baker to rush to his aid. This earns Baker several warnings, but before he can get shot, Ray lunges to pull him back. The scene then cuts to day 4, when the group has already crossed 209 miles, and the remaining survivors are Ray, Peter, Barkovich, Stebbins, Baker, and a guy named Parker. They are all distraught about Hank's death, and Parker reveals that he was the only one among them who was married. Upon learning this, the boys promise that whoever wins must send some money to Hank's wife. But no one asks Barkovich about it, which makes him feel very left out. He thus shares to Ray that he feels guilty about Hank's death, and can't stop thinking about him. Barkovich apologizes, and begs to be part of their group, to which Ray agrees. But then, Barkovich begins to lose his mind and behave very erratically. And then, in a shocking move,
I'm gonna be with you whores forever now, okay?
It's not. What the fuck? Fuck! No!
This leaves everyone disturbed, but they can't stop walking, and the soldiers ruthlessly shoot Barkovich, who's barely alive. That night, the exhausted group starts singing to motivate themselves and pass the time. The scene then cuts to day 5, where the guys have already walked 278 miles, and it turns out they are now passing by the town where Ray's mom lives. Parker tells Ray that he's lucky because at least he will be able to see his mother. But Peter says it's not a good thing, and it will make the walk even more difficult for Ray. After walking 286 miles, they finally arrive at Ray's town, where one of his boots loses its sole, so Baker tells him to remove both shoes, warning that losing balance will make him even more tired. Sadly, Ray soon notices his mother in the street, and he initially greets her from a distance. But he quickly runs to ask for a hug, and this earns him repeated warnings, so his panicked mom tells him to leave. Peter quickly grabs his friend and forces him to keep moving to save his life. Afterward, Peter confesses to Ray that he has been walking all his life, ever since his parents died in the war that left him orphaned. He used to live with an uncle, who also used to beat him until he died when Peter was just 10. Peter then met kids like him, and started stealing and fighting just to survive. But one day, he got into a fight with a guy who slashed him with a knife that left him a scar. Peter says that he woke up in a hospital, but he blamed himself for the attack, and not the attacker. He then made a promise to himself that from then on, he would only see light even in the darkest moments. To add, if he wins, he will use the money to help orphaned kids like him, which really touches Ray. Around 306 miles, Stebbins informs the group that no one will help each other from now on, to which everyone agrees. Baker's nose then begins to bleed, but no one helps him because of the new rule. Suddenly, an exhausted Parker snatches a soldier's rifle and shoots him, but he's also brutally shot by the others. In the evening, Baker's nose continues to bleed uncontrollably, so Peter and Ray try to help him walk despite their new rule. However, Baker realizes that he isn't going to survive anyway, so he grabs his locket and asks his friends to give it to his grandma. He also makes them promise not to turn around and watch him while he's shot. The friends try to make him walk a little longer, but Baker has already given up and refuses to move. In the end, he is brutally executed by the soldiers. At night, the boys reach 326 miles, and now only Ray, Peter, and Stebbins are seen crossing a bridge. The Major urges them to keep moving, but an infuriated Ray starts hurling insults and curses at the old man. But the Major remains unfazed, and remarks that this is precisely the killer instinct he has been looking for. Meanwhile, Stebbins reveals a shocking truth, that he is actually the Major's illegitimate child, and the reason he participated was because he hoped to use his wish to move into his father's home. But he now feels that his lungs are filling with fluid, and realizes his death is looming. He tells the two men that he is honored to have walked alongside them, and wishes them the best of luck on their journey. After bidding an emotional farewell, Stebbins stays behind, and is instantly executed by the soldiers. After so much destruction and sadness, only the two friends now remain in the race. Under the pounding rain, Peter tells Ray that as a child, he never thought about death and was scared shitless. But now, upon seeing all those boys die, he has realized that the only certainty in life is death, and if you're lucky, you get to choose how to spend your last moments. After walking 331 miles, the two friends arrive at a town, where a crowd is excitedly waiting to see which one will survive. Here, Peter suddenly stops, as he wants to be eliminated, so that his friend can win and reunite with his mother. But Ray refuses to let that happen and suggests they keep walking a bit longer. And then, when Peter is distracted,
You convinced the motherfucker.
Since Ray has already accumulated 3 strikes, he is immediately shot. A stunned Peter tries to help his friend, but it's already too late, as the Major delivers the final shot to kill Ray. This leaves Peter completely shattered, while the nation erupts in celebration of his victory. The cheerful Major steps forward to congratulate him, and asks what his wish will be. At this point, Peter says that he wants a soldier's carbine, which he plans to pass down to his future children. The soldier is reluctant, but the Major asks him to pass the weapon, and says Peter won't harm anyone since he wants the world to be a better place. But as soon as Peter gets the carbine, he points it at the Major. The old man calmly tries to reason with him, and tells him not to throw away his hard-earned victory. However, Peter responds with, "This is for Ray," and fires a single deadly shot that kills the old man instantly. The movie ends with Peter dropping the weapon, and walking alone down the dark, rainy road, while his heart is heavy with grief and loss. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.